can't do this just yet.
Bargain. Such if gifts were chosen so. Given to grace. This one smiles, but it's...
More wheeling and dealing.
I expect you will come at us with a new strategy. Keep your eyes.
I can't do this just yet.
Cast you into a pit of infinite tortures. Pyrrhic sent you.
Welcome. Time has no meaning here. Your pain will be endless.
Away with you! I shall free you.
Sirus.
With your death, this nightmare may finally end. I'm better. Feeding time. You're in my sights.
Killed countless thousands. What's one more? Veritania, my kingdom.
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention.
Do this just yet.
The others found strength in their projections. They became reliant on them. Not so foolish.
This city is mine.
Enough to warrant all this pain. Be silent.
just yet.
lives are meaningless.
I can't do this just yet.
Hey guys, I'm going to paste the POBs for my current setup and the setup that I'm aiming for in the description, so you can check that out for whatever upgrades you might need or want, or what changes you might want to make from my build. my current the state of my character, but I'll quickly go over some of the important points that I feel I need to talk about, and just how the character feels in general. So this character is level 94. It's a champion. It has negative 60 chaos stress, so it couldn't fit that in. I'm playing Lancing Steel. Yeah, okay, so I'll just hover up the gear real quick so you can pause and see it if you want. And then I'll go over some of the important things, like for example, Beltimber Blade. So Beltimber Blade is a pretty good starter budget option, but eventually you want to upgrade to a good PDPS foil. Something north of 500 PDPS would be great, I think. Beltimber Blade, while great, it does not compare to a higher PDPS foil. Also, the +2 projectiles from Beltimber Blade is hard to maintain unless you're dashing non-stop, and if you're using Leap Slam like me, it's not that easy to maintain. You could easily use dash, but then you lose the Fortify and the endurance charges. Yeah. Also, the +2 projectiles from Beltimber Blade only helps your single target and not your clear, because the PDPS is actually low for the blade. So hold on, I'll just pull it up, right, so it's easier for everyone. Because Beltimber, wait, I spelled that wrong, oops. Okay, Beltimber. So because the PDPS is actually low and the crit is low, you do most of your damage is only for single target and is backloaded, right? Like with all impale builds, the front load damage is not much, and all of your damage feels delayed, which feels really bad for mapping. Which means that mobs will die, but there's a ramping effect that you want to avoid when mapping. You want to be one-shotting everything so it doesn't feel bad. So higher PDPS will feel better for mapping because you can instantly kill everything and then move on instead of having to rely on your projectiles and your impales. The next thing is Savior is pretty OP for this build. You really want this more than anything else. You can get started with Beltimber Blade, but you definitely want a Savior as soon as possible. It helps with single target, it helps with clear, it just helps overall. There's no reason not to get it. Get this more than anything else. Helm Enchant. Okay, this Helm Enchant is best in slot, I'm pretty sure. If you're not aware, then Lancing Steel gives you all steel skills give you this Call of Steel skill, which when you press gives you steel shards, and each Lancing Steel attack consumes 4 charges to give you 50% more projectiles, like it says. But what it means is that you run out of charges, and then you need to press R to reload, and then you can go again. But with this, it helps you avoid some of those reloads, and instead 30% of the time it lets you just spam right click, right? So what I do during bosses is I pretty much hold right click and press R whenever I can to get my reload and just keep going, right? This Helm Enchant helps a lot with that. Another thing that's really important is the -10 mana cost on your rings, I think, because that helps you fit in all 4 auras. Otherwise it's kind of difficult even with an Enlightened 4. So I recommend that a lot, and it makes your everything else pretty much free. So you save a lot of links like Blood Magic for your Leap Slam, and your mana cost for Lancing Steel becomes dirt cheap, so you can keep spamming it without having to rely on like Mana Leech much. Although I mean, I guess you still do need Mana Leech, but you can get away with like Mana Gain on hit or something. It's just good quality of life getting these -10. Speaking of rings, you should also consider Elder rings for the life gain on hit. A couple, I don't have those yet, but those will really help your survivability a lot. The only source of life gain on hit I think I have right now is from Bislatha's Coil, which you gain when you stun an enemy, and even with this I'm pretty much unkillable in maps unless you get one shot, which you want to avoid anyway. But yeah, get the life gain on hit, that's really going to help. You'll pretty much be unkillable in maps unless you get one shot, so HP is kind of important, I guess. The Explodey is another thing that you really want to have during mapping. I mean, that's a given for every build, right? So I guess don't rush it, but eventually plan on getting it. Yeah, another thing. Okay, so I'm going for, I don't have a heat flask here, so I'm going for ailment immunity, which I get from the tree from crystal skin and this node. So 5 and 15, that's 20, and then there's 8, 4, 4, 4, that's another 20, so that's 40 from the tree, and I need 60 more from gear, so I get 35 here, which is a prefix craft, a veiled craft I think, and another a suffix which is from my helmet, 25, so that gives you 60 on helmet and chest for complete ailment immunity. That way you're not chilled, frozen, shocked, ignited ever, which is really good quality of life. And since you're using 2 flasks already, 2 unique flasks already, that's really helpful. A Dying Sun is fantastic for single target because it adds 2 additional projectiles. Since Lancing Steel behaves like barrage, well, it doesn't when you just cast it normally, right? When you cast it normally, it just kind of spreads out. But let's assume this is a single target boss or single target whatever. When you click on this, well, it doesn't work for Navali, but when you click on an actual monster, it streamlines all of your projectiles in like a straight line instead of this spread. So it kind of works like barrage. So that means that you don't literally need to be next to her to actually DPS her. You can even kind of stand here and then pretty much all of your projectiles hit. But Dying Sun really helps because it adds additional projectiles, right? What else? Okay, links. Impale, vicious projectiles, and brutality is just given. You can use other links instead of pierce and maim, but I went for these two because I don't really like damage on full life. You would need Offering of the Serpent for damage on full life, which will help you maintain consistency, but even then it's kind of conditional, so I don't like it. I would rather just get maim, which is consistent, and it gives about, it's not that much of a DPS loss compared to damage on full life. Also, you can play around with chain and GMP, which I did, but the problem with GMP is that it's literally only for single target and it doesn't really help that much with clear, because your projectiles don't hit a lot of enemies at the same time. You want something like chain or fork or pierce for your clearing, and fork and chain don't really work that well because they don't hit that many enemies at once when there's a lot of density. Pierce, on the other hand, just shreds through packs, and it avoids having you to gem swap for bosses. Like, you could use chain instead of pierce and then gem swap into GMP, and that would be fine, but I think pierce lets you avoid the gem swap and also feels better than chain for high density maps, so I went with pierce. I also went for point blank because you're pretty much you want to stay close to bosses anyway, right, for DPSing, so all your projectiles hit, and point blank is just then a free upgrade. You can also get Iron Grip, which is I think like a 14 or 17% more damage for 2 travel points. That's probably worth it, but I didn't get that. You can play around with that and see if that works for you. And I think that's it. Overall, the character feels okay to play. The clear feels pretty good. It does feel a little janky because, like with all Impale builds, most of your damage is back-ended or backloaded, so in the initial hits don't feel that strong. So it feels a little janky sometimes, but it still clears fine. You just need to kind of, before you jump into a pack, or you want to like pre-fire your projectiles, so your Mirage Warriors from the Savior can also pre-fire and kill everything before you actually jump into packs. Bossing, the single target is pretty good. I think like for all the Conquerors, this is as almost pretty much on the high end of single target that I've experienced in PoE. So I think the single target is pretty good. It's just, as you can see from the Sirus fight, it's just hard to get consistent DPS on Sirus because he just teleports everywhere and throws mechanics at you. So it's hard to like actually press your flasks and get consistent DPS on him. But otherwise, single target is pretty good. I might use this as a starter for next league unless they introduce new skills. I'm hoping they introduce some cool skills because the next expansion seems to be pretty big and supposed to be impressive. So hopefully they do maybe a lot of reworks or introduce new skills which are pretty cool. But otherwise, if nothing seems really great and everything's like Blazing Salvo or Cracklands, then I'll probably start with this build. Yeah, I think that's it. Also, I'm sorry for Sorry for not uploading for the last 4 months. I've been really busy IRL, and I didn't really like Heist League, so I just skipped it, and I pretty much haven't played PoE in the last 4 months. This is the only build that in recent times has caught my eye, so I thought I'd play around with it, give an update, and I'm definitely playing 3.13, so yeah, keep an eye out on that. I think that's it. Thanks for watching, I guess, and stay updated for 3.13. I'm hoping to make some cool builds. Hopefully it's a great expansion. I'm definitely playing it, unless it turns out to be absolute garbage, which hopefully it won't. Okay, okay, I think that's it. That's it from me. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.